I think this is the first time we've talked since the election, but the county recorder, Justin Heap, is here. It's good to see you again.
Thank you, Mike. Good to be back.
This is an issue, I think, that's kind of flown under the radar for many people until election season comes along. And in Maricopa County, the biggest county in Arizona, there is a bit of a rift, which we'll get to in a moment, with you and the Board of Supervisors. But we do have an election going on right now. Mail-in ballots have gone out to people. What do people holding those ballots need to know about deadlines and getting their ballots returned and making sure their ballots are counted?
Well, this election is an all-mail election, but it is countywide. So we do have 2 countywide ballot referendums that are there. And then we also have jurisdictional. So almost every city or municipality in the county also has their own individual races. So what people do need to know is this is a mail-in election. There will not be in-person voting like there are on other cases. And so we would recommend that, number one, we're already coming up towards the deadline. So if you still are holding on to your mail-in ballot, you need to get that in the mail. We recommend by the 28th to make sure that it gets to us. If for any reason you don't have one, there are ballot replacement sites throughout the county, which you can go to one in your city and they will void that mail-in ballot, print you out a new one, let you fill that out, and you can get those in as soon as possible.
So let's talk a little bit about the controversy. I have the press release here. The recorder files temporary restraining order to protect voter registration database. It sounds pretty ominous. What is going on? Why the temporary restraining order? And I know it's a part of a bigger lawsuit, which I hope we can get into.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like you said, this is part of a larger issue. We are currently in litigation between the recorder and the Board of Supervisors, and that all stems from just a few weeks before I took office. The previous recorder and the previous board signed an agreement which transferred most of the recorder's duties over to the control of the board, along with the entire voter database, the software, the systems, the servers. So all of that has been under the board's control since I took office. We are in litigation to resolve that, but we did learn recently that the board had decided to bring in a third-party contractor. We were not informed. We don't have any say in the process, in the selection, and that this third-party company would be doing a very lengthy audit on all of our IT systems. The recorder is responsible for those voter rolls. I'm responsible for protecting the voter data that is in those, and it is inappropriate for the board to come in and bring a contractor that we're not involved with to come audit the systems while they're in the board's control.
So what is the concern of that contractor? Is it that they're going to have access to information they shouldn't have access to? Is it going to expose the database to public, where it can be hacked into necessarily? I hate using that word, but is that part of the concern?
That is part of the concern. So this is a third-party company hired by the board. We did not have input. This was done internally through the county's system. The contract, though, also says that this company will bring in its contractors who are not named, but also can have subcontractors come in and do various parts of this. And so we really don't know who's going to have access, what kind of clearance, and what kind of security is going to be available. So that is part of it. The other large concern about this is what the board's intention is. We are right now currently in an election. This is not really a time we should be doing an assessment. And we are in litigation, so the court is going to be deciding on these issues. The board has brought in this contractor and placed it in really remarkably long time. This contract runs for an entire year before they can come out with any recommendations for the board on dividing the system. Honestly, what it seems to me the board is trying to do is to justify their continued hold on all of the recorder's IT staff, to say, well, we can't even think about giving back the recorder's IT staff until we do this long audit, which will put us well past the 2026 election. So
when you look at what that part or this piece of it, is there going to be quick movement by the courts? Do you expect this to be resolved fairly quickly? Because time has to be of the essence for this. Mm-hmm. Like you said, we're in the middle of an election.
Yeah. We haven't had a response yet for the court on the TRO. We do expect in the next couple of months we will get a ruling from the court on the underlying lawsuit. We are feeling really confident in that. The court, we've been in court about 6 months, which I know seems like a very long time. That is warp speed for the courts.
Right.
So the judge does seem to understand that there is an urgency here. We need to get this resolved so that we can plan for the 2026 election.
The average voter just wants to be able to, if they vote in person like I do, you want to be able to get through the line quickly. We all want the results to be accurate, and we want the results to be as quick as possible. The rest of it seems to many people like politics. But how important is this to know where the lines are and who gets to draw them? Because if the agreement was made between the previous recorder and the Board of Supervisors, who has the authority to change that agreement?
Well, in our case, so when I took office, I mean, I notified the board, and no one is contesting this. Under Arizona law, an agreement, a voluntary agreement signed by the old board and the old recorder is not enforceable now. And so after I took office, I filed a notice notifying the board that agreement was terminated. So the real issue is we are operating now with no agreement and no clear lines on who runs each thing. And if we don't have an agreement, then we go back to Arizona law, which ultimately is what I'm asking for. The issue is the board is holding on to many powers and authorities that are not supported by Arizona law. So we are trying to bring that back in. But yeah, having this uncertainty, but the board will with who runs each thing, and also for functions that are mine, such as voter registration and the database, the IT staff that controls that works for the board. So there's nothing that I can do to deliver on my campaign promises without the board allowing me to do so. And so the concern here is that they are hamstringing my ability to change something in order for the board to maintain their control of the system. So
we have mail-in voting, we have voter registration, mail-in ballots, early ballot sites, and we also have day of voting. In your opinion, what you believe the law says, what is it that is your role in that you are not able to fulfill right now?
Look, fundamentally, the voter roll and voter registration, that is the recorders. The board is saying that we still have that role. The issue is that the database themselves, access to the software, the even IT staff that accesses that is controlled by the board. And so that is part of the lawsuit to say, listen, if the recorder is statutorily in charge, we need to have the means and the systems to manage it. We can't go through an intermediary like the board. Beyond that, according to Arizona law, the early voting as well should be with the recorder. So the 28 days of early in-person voting, the ballot replacement sites, that should be run by the recorder as well. The board is holding on to that 28 days of early voting. And then after that, the day of election and tabulation, that is the board's. I'm not questioning or saying the board should take that. This is really about mail-in votes and early votes and who has which role.
I know it's dangerous to ask you to get into somebody else's mind, but why have you heard anything from them? Has the board explained? Is there anything in the legal battle that's going on that explains why they believe that they should be holding on to these items and not turning them over to you? What is their argument?
Well, their argument, as to why you're right. I don't know. I'll be honest. I'm as mystified as anybody. I mean, this is a 4-1 Republican-controlled board. I thought we were going to sit down, hammer this thing out in a few hours. Instead, it is stretched into a 6-month battle, which is now an illegal battle. It does seem that the board is convinced, or at least Mr. Galvin, the chairman, is convinced that the board can do it better than the recorder. And so it would just be better for the voters if the board took over these duties from the recorder and everything was managed by the board and its staff rather than having this split. What their legal case is we are simply saying that any section of the law that says the recorder should be the recorder's duty. The board's assertion is they say, well, look, we are in charge as the board of appointing county officers. Therefore, we can designate ourselves as the officer in charge of elections, and we can take over any parts of the elections that we choose and deem necessary. I don't think the law supports that. That's our case in the lawsuit. Is of course the opposite of that. That the statutes mean what they say, and the legislature has agreed. They came in and filed an amicus brief in support that said, no, we are standing with the recorder. What the recorder says is what we meant on the law, and asking the court to side with us in that.
I appreciate the time. It's fascinating to me, and I know there's a lot of people out there with what's gone on in Arizona in the last almost decade now about concerns about elections. We all just want to feel if our elections are free and fair.
I agree. And
I appreciate the battle that you're fighting, and I appreciate you coming and telling your side of it.
Thank you.
Thank you. That is the county recorder spending a few moments with us.
Thanks for watching the Mike Broomhead Show. Tap to watch and listen to the new season of Amazing Arizonans, a KTAR News podcast. You can also click the button in the middle to subscribe.